All right. Ready, guys? Good evening. I call to order the Newman City Council regular meeting, October 24th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. May begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I like that we have a full house this evening and just get all our minds off of all the outside things and concentrate on the business of the city of Newman. But I still have a heavy heart, and I would just like every one of us to just keep Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, and even Russia, the people, that our Lord and Savior would prick those hearts, they will have mercy on the people. Come with me in prayer. Father God, we just pray so much in terms of forgiveness and grace that you laid upon us. We have a city that you have blessed us with such good servants and people that recognize the needs and people that have respect for each other. I've been here 15 years. I tell you that I will never move out of this city. We have been so blessed. And now we come tonight, Father God, to do the business for the city of Newman. Let us clear our heads and make the right decisions. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call.
Councilmember McDonald?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ball?
Here.
Councilmember Tomlinson?
Here.
Councilmember Pimentel?
Here.
Mayor Graham?
Here. Any declarations of conflict? No? All right. Ceremonial matters, there's none tonight. Item number 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Anybody wishing to speak? Please step up to the podium, state your name and address, and good evening.
Amber Rose, 818 Tivoli Drive. First, I want to say thank you for putting the receptacles for the dog waste on Sherman Parkway. I appreciate it. Came and asked and it happened, so that was great. Here to ask for some more on Driscoll. If we can get a couple more, there's one down there, but if we could get a couple more, I walk my dogs every night and most people don't pick up. But I've noticed Sherman Parkway, they do now, so if we could get more down there. Also, I guess I could call the police department about this, but that road needs more patrol, especially in the evening. People are blowing through the stop signs on the cross streets, on the main street, so if we could get more patrol.
Are you speaking of Driscoll or Sherman?
Driscoll, sorry, Driscoll. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak tonight? All right, item number 8. A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of the September 26, 2023 meeting. D, adopt resolution 2023, next in number, a resolution authorizing the city manager or fire chief to execute any future agreement with the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection for volunteer fire assistance, VFA, grant funding.
I'm sorry. I would like to move, say we move to accept the consent calendar. And that's what happens when you have a council meeting and you're not up to date with everything, so we missed out on last time.
I will second.
We got first and a second. Go and vote electronically. Motion carries 5-0. Public hearing, there's none tonight. Item number 10, regular business, report on housing sixth cycle element update. We have Andy Flower on the line who will be doing a presentation over the phone.
Correct.
Welcome, Andy.
Thank you so much. Hello to Mayor and council members. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate this opportunity. Tonight, next slide, please. Here's our agenda, and tonight we're going to, our focus is to our focus is to share our progress for the sixth cycle housing element update with comments and for deeper analysis. We've added programs, and we want to make sure that you're aware of these programs before we send the draft to HCD for review. Next slide, please. So this, I want to make it clear that this won't be your last time to comment and edit on the draft. This slide is just a background to remind folks who are maybe new to the process and to what we're doing that the Newman General Plan was adopted in 2007, and there's several chapters to the general plan. One of them happens to be the housing element, and that chapter in the full plan needs to be updated every 8 years. So here we are. We've got our final draft. We had the public draft out for public comment, and we integrated those comments. We received a couple of comments. We also did some deeper analysis and looked closely at what is getting certification from HCD, because we have such a new set of standards for the sixth cycle. So we've added some new programs. And next slide, please. So this is a list of the programs. It's very generalized. You'll see some more thorough description of what each of these are. I'm not going to get into each of these right now, but I'm happy to do so if there's any interest in that. So just as a quick overview, there's a number of land use and zoning changes. The turkey hatchery site that is owned by the city, we discussed a little bit about what is intended for that site, so that HCD can see that there's a seriousness for the city to promote the redevelopment of that site. Objective design standards. We want to make sure that we have this as a near-term goal, so that within this next year, that the zoning changes and also the objective design standards could be in place. There is a requirement for the zoning changes to be in place 1 year after the deadline. So that would be December of 2024. The objective design standards is one of the best things you can do for your city with all the new state laws and the ways that things have changed. We want to make sure that you can be in control of the design as housing gets developed over time. For ADUs, these are the three main focus points that we have for ADUs: to update to meet state requirements, that we would open up for amnesty for illegal units. It's important to have a term limit for that, so we're saying through 2026. And then this next one is sort of a big one, but it makes a huge difference in our housing plan working for all affordability levels, and that's that going forward, any new subdivision with more than 50 homes, there would be a requirement for 15% of those homes to include an ADU, and that ADU could be attached, it could be detached, so it could fit in with the objective design standards that you work towards. And then our AFFH programs, as we mapped out where the sites are according to the analysis that's required for the sixth cycle, we realized that there are some programs that could make a huge difference for folks with for economic mobility, and some place-based strategies to support infrastructure improvements. And what that means is we just want to make sure that that folks who are lower income, that they have sort of that there's a priority for those areas to get the sidewalks and get the amenities that make a difference in their lives. And we know that you're already doing that. And what we've done is we've worked closely with Michael Holland to set you up for success. We're tapping into the things that you're already doing as a city, so that as those report cards are due to HCD on an annual basis, that that you can successfully show progress towards these goals. Next slide, please. So our next step, the timeline, we are submitting to HCD before midnight tonight with this draft, unless we hear otherwise today from council. And with that, they'll have a 90-day review period, which is required. We were also in this month initiating the CEQA process. Through November, the CEQA process will continue, and it will begin as an initial study. And if only an M&D is required, then that initial study will provide the evidence. If an EIR ends up recognized as being required, you'll know about that because we'll need to come back to council for a budget amendment, and we'll have more details about it at that point. But we're going to do all we can to keep it to an M&D. So in January 2024, that's when we should be receiving HCD comments and making necessary revisions. Again, this is another touch point where we'll let you know what HCD has said, and also at that point, let you know what our strategy would be in meeting those comments. And at that point, council also has a decision to make about whether to potentially adopt before or after the ready to certify letter from HCD. And what we know is that you're not legally supposed to adopt prior to that 90-day review period, but after that 90-day review period, there is some option for you as a city council. So there's pros and cons to both. Again, that's the decision point that we'll bring forward in January. Next slide, please. So this is a QR code and a link spelled out that can take anyone who wants to read the full revised draft for the housing element 6 cycle. I don't know if we want to linger here for a minute in case anybody wants to use that QR code. Our next slide is just to remind people of how to get in touch with us, with myself as project manager from EMC, or Michael Holland. We also have the Public Works Director listed on that next slide. So that concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Any questions? I'll go and open up to the public for any questions or comments.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Mendoza. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Business at the Newman Cruz Landing Unified School District, and I reside at 603 Lady Slipper Lane here in Newman. I read through the report, and I was a little bit concerned about some of the rezoning, and I just wanted to get some information on the timeline of that. We just did a new facility master plan update this year, and none of these issues, none of these rezoning proposals were included. Rezoning these into multifamily developments has an impact, a direct impact on our enrollment, especially when a lot of them are concentrating in the same area. So I would urge the city to be proactive in reaching out to the school district to make sure that we are aware that these things are up for consideration. That will help us plan to make sure that we have adequate school housing for the additional students. Multifamily housing has a higher student generation rate than single-family housing, so we need to make sure that we're planning now for down the line when these actually come to fruition. What is the timeline for, once these are rezoned, what is the timeline are you looking at build out for these parcels that are going to be rezoned?
So we don't have a timeline because we don't build multifamily projects. They'll be built by the property owners. So it would only be property owner driven. If at any time that a proposal did come in, the district would be advised as to what the proposal was, how many units, and a kind of a schedule of how long it would take to go through the process, and then a construction schedule on it as well.
Okay, because I saw Prince Road becomes a kind of a channel where there's several parcels that are going to be zoned R3 consecutively.
There are, and so one of the challenges that we faced, and maybe if Andy can talk about it a little bit later, but one of the challenges that we're facing as a community is when we're trying to meet the requirements of The state is trying to tell the city of Newman that we have to develop 1,200 residential units in the next 8 years, which is not something that we're planning on doing because that's not our goal. That's the state's goal. But what we have to do is prepare a document that would show if we were to develop 1,200 units, it's 1,189, where would they go? And so you have to look at vacant properties. And sometimes those properties under the general plan, if it's low density, that's only 6 units to the acre. Well, that doesn't get me to the 1,100 that they want. So then we're upzoning those so that I can get a higher density on those.
Okay.
But we have not had any property owner propose a development at this time that would have an impact on the school district. If one of those did come in, Carolyn, reality says it'd probably take a minimum of like 2 years for it to develop and students be generated towards your school.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Rosalie Hurst, and I reside at 1447 Q Street. And I'm on the commissioner on the Commission on Aging. And one of the biggest concerns we have, I serve on the committee for housing. And one of the biggest concerns we have is for senior housing and for low-income housing. On the houses that are being built right now, how many of them are designated for senior housing and for low income?
The ones that are under construction on Prince Road? Yeah, those are all fair market value homes.
Fair market. Okay. So we will be looking at that as we build more houses in Newman?
Yeah, so when you read this document, it's our housing element. We have to plan for a certain number of very low and low income residential units. And that's why you're seeing a series of rezones that would allow us to develop more units and potentially add some lower income units to moderate rate or market rate incomes down there as well. So that's how we plan to meet the goal and to develop income qualified residential ones and or senior.
Okay. And I know that probably have to go to the city to ask this question, to the state to ask this question, but if they're mandating that we bring in this many dwellings, how about the jobs for the people that we're bringing those dwellings to? Because most of our people have to go outside of Newman to go to work. The school district's the #1 employee. And so if you don't work for the school district, you're usually traveling and possibly for long distances. And that presents a problem for the children who live in that household, et cetera. So what are the plans as far as that? I know that in the Northwest Corridor and everything in the plans, it had the industrial park up by 33, and there were supposed to be how many jobs there again?
They estimate between 1,500 and 2,000 jobs for Northwest Quadrant.
Okay.
And with respect to the state does not work in reality.
Yeah.
And they work in fairyland.
Right.
And so they don't really tie housing to jobs like we have to try to do that. So
Yes.
they just kind of, I don't know how they come up with how Newman's going to generate 1,200 homes in 8 years. It's not reality. And they didn't ask us how many we were going to develop.
No input,
Nor should
okay.
the state tell us what we want.
Yeah.
What was that, Mr. Mayor?
I said, nor should the state tell us what we want to build
Right.
in our city.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I could add an additional comment, I saw the section about the employment at the end of the packet. It was talking about job development and working with the city, reaching out to partners. I would encourage the city to partner with our adult ed program, because we have some job development things that we're already doing. And if you're meeting with partners and they're finding that there are job needs in the city that our lower income, our lower wage earners are if there's places for them that we can help with job training, we'd be happy to do that through our adult ed program as well. Thank you.
And Mayor, as you know, we're, the city of Newman, we're working right now Catherine's working with, to get us a grant, technical grant, because we're in the process of trying to develop a business and job development center just across the street from us that would, further enhance the ability to attract jobs and businesses to our area.
Good evening, Paul Wallace, 722 Mount Rushmore. And maybe you could comment a little bit, because the city's been in the past pretty effective at building market rate but low income housing. The pull apart houses, as I remember, I haven't looked at the data for a while, but they've generally been affordable. And then the Prince Road, that is a very dense, is probably going to be pretty affordable, whether it meets the 80% moderate income or whatever. I haven't looked at that data, but maybe you could comment on that, and also on how ADUs will work with senior housing and low income housing, because it seems like that might be an excellent senior housing without putting the same kind of mandate the mayor was talking about, thou shalt do this for cheap.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Wallace. So ADUs, and I thank you for the lead into that, because I want to expand upon that. An ADU means an accessory dwelling unit. So it's a small secondary unit that goes on the property, and sometimes now people are building those in their backyards, and generally they're smaller, anywhere from 700 to 1,200 square feet. A lot of times they move family members in there. So our goal is, especially as we move forward like Northwest Quadrant and some of our new developments, is to place that as a requirement that 15% of the units that are going to be out there would have an ADU as part of the development. So 15% have to include that at the initial stage of construction. And then another 15%, the lots have to be plumbed, meaning the sewer and water line have to be extended onto the property. So that way, if someone wanted to add one later, it makes it more easily and readily available for them to add a second unit on there. So that would go to some of the questions that Ms. Hurst had, was how do you provide low income and or senior housing? Well, these would provide opportunities for low income and senior housing. And it also provides an income, for more and more families, multi-generational families are living together. And so this would provide that opportunity for more multi-generational families to live together but have separate units. Sometimes they're in one dwelling, it looks like one. Sometimes it's above a garage. Sometimes it's in the backyard. There could be lots of different design things that are going on there. So that is part of our strategy moving forward of how we're going to generate senior housing and low income housing, is the requirement that any subdivision bigger than 50 lots has to include 15% of those on there. So if you think about that, 15% of the 50, you're already like 7.5, 8 units right off the bat of low income or senior housing, if you will. So,
Any other questions or comments? All right, bring it back to council for action.
I move to accept the report on housing sixth cycle element update.
A second.
First and second, go vote electronically. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Andy. And thank you, everybody, for your comments and that today. All right. County Supervisor's not here today. Item number 12, items from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, so we had a lot of good comments today about, housing. And so just to expand on that again, ADUs, accessory dwelling units, we're starting to see an increase in people that are putting those in their homes already. So we thought it was a good way to continue to still have a little bit of the same flavor that we already developed with, in terms of, people like single family homes in Newman, and really 30 units to the acres, and that's what the state's pushing on us. It's not really how the city of Newman looks to develop. But accessory units on there for family members, for, maybe adult children, that could live on the property but still have their own little space. We thought that was a great strategy for moving forward. And if we require those by the developers to put those in and make it readily available that people can add those later at a later date if they want. When you design those on the front end of it, it just makes it so much easier, and the neighborhood's like so much more cohesive. And so,
Patterson and a couple places in Modesto have quite a few of those where the house will have like a third car garage that's detached almost by the entry. It sits up and you kind of pull into an angle, and it can be when you build the house, it could be a garage or it could be an apartment.
yeah.
Standalone, like in-laws quarter or.
Yeah, Mountain House has a lot of those right now.
Yeah, that's kind of the wave of the future. I think you're just seeing with the housing costs going up so much, multi-generations living in one particular house. So if your parents had to live with you, but they kind of still want their own little space. And sometimes they design these really well so that the apartment is inside a single story and it's all there. Sometimes it's a separate unit with a separate quarters over there. I think it's an appropriate strategy for where we live and the people that are living here. And I think it's a good strategy for moving forward. So,
Mike, I have a quick question for you. Is that with those requirements, how would that affect a closed-in gated community?
Yeah, there would probably still be the requirement if you're still a closed-in gated community and you're over 50 units, you're still going to have to provide 15% of those are still going to have to provide an ADU on there. That doesn't mean they have to utilize it at that. It could just, it could be a game house, it could be a pool house, they could convert it into whatever they want, but they have to build it separately so it's a standalone unit if they wanted to use it that way. But ultimately, the owner decides how they want to use it.
In saying that, in reference to a gated community for, let's say, seniors, 55 and older, those requirements, basically from what you just spoke of, are talking about in-laws or even children. And most senior gated communities are basically excluding children. So in saying that, those requirements still, be affected in terms of a gated community for 55 and older?
I can't talk in hypotheticals right now, but what I would say, if somebody came in and said, look, I wanted to build an age-restricted development, and we looked at the numbers, and they set aside a number to be affordable, that could meet, if they set aside 15% to be affordable, that could meet the intent that we're trying to get. So therefore, they wouldn't have to build ADU. They just need to make sure that 15% of the units that they're selling meet the affordability requirement. So that could be a way to get along that. And we're still meeting the goal of providing affordable housing for our aging population that lives and resides here. So we're meeting that goal at the same time of providing affordable housing and providing senior housing.
Okay, that kind of answered my question. Thank you.
I have a question. When it comes to low-income housing, how often is it reviewed to determine what is considered low-income housing?
The state every year produces a number.
Because with poverty increasing every year.
Correct. Yeah, it's a medium income level that the state generates every year. They send out a number and say, this is what it is for this particular year.
Thank you.
The second piece to that was, you saw something that said objective design standards. What that means is we're going to work with our architectural review committee to develop architectural standards and some detail standards. So that way it'll streamline the process. If a project's coming in and they want to do ADUs and they meet the design standards that the architectural review committee has set, it goes by really smoothly. So that's part of what we're going to be doing that as well. So with that, our planning group, EMC, Andy and his staff will be submitting that HCD document to the state today. So you did see a mention of the turkey hatchery in there. We have not closed escrow on that, but everything is moving in a direction that we will be closing escrow on the turkey hatchery, which will allow us to do a multi-use project there. And so as we talked about it, we'd like to see ground floor retail, slash customer service, second floor apartments. And they'll look at a third floor possibility, but we need to talk parking, fire. There's a lot of issues that go along with adding the third floor. I don't know if it'll work in Newman based upon the smallness of the lot. And it is a full half a block, but they're only 150 feet deep. So there's some issues that we have to resolve, and we'll work with the developer to come up with a final design that ultimately comes to the Planning Commission Architects Review and to the City Council.
Some people don't know what the turkey hatchery is, so can you?
Yeah, that's the Foster Farm site on Main Street. So the city's in the process of purchasing that. Like I said, we're going to then partner with it. We're going to find a developer to partner with to provide some affordable housing above, and with some retail, restaurant / customer service stuff on the ground, like a multi-use kind of project over there. So it's a good site. It's half a block, half a city block, but it extends from, what is that, Stanislaus to Inyo on Main Street there.
You got that for $1?
We got that for $1.
$1. That's great. Let me, quick question.
But we're going to spend money on it, though.
Yeah, no. The cleanup's going to be the.
Right. Quick question, Michael, is so that's not just earmarked for commercial. You're going to, it's possible to have the housing on top of the commercial.
Our goal is to find a developer to do a multi-use project there that includes both commercial and residential.
Great.
So, and we already have 2 that have expressed an interest in doing that type of project in Newman. So, and we haven't even thrown out a formal request for proposals yet. So, yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. And then Allie's going to talk probably a little bit about it, but trunk or treat's coming up. But I just ahead of time just want to thank the chamber, the school district, and Allie for all working hard together to get this event going on for the youth in our community. It's a great testament that we can accomplish things working together with our other partners in our community to put on great events for our community. And so hopefully they'll have our community and our kids will have a nice, safe place that they can come and do trick-or-treating. And then there'll also be food vendors out there as well. So, families want to come down and I'll do all that. We only have 2 meetings left this year. One is November 14th and the other is December 12th. Just bringing that to your attention. I wanted to then wish all of our veterans a happy Veterans Day. And that'll coming up, and that'll be before our next meeting. So I wanted to extend that out to our community and to our members of the council that have served. And then just lastly, Catherine's work anniversary is coming up, so happy anniversary to Catherine.
Thank you.
With that, Mayor, that's all that I had.
Thank you. Allie?
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. A little bit of update on our sports world. Soccer season is ending here. It's the last weekend, and we're jumping into basketball. Basketball signups are currently right now all the way through November 7th. So if you know anybody interested in basketball, send them my way. We can get them signed up for the upcoming 2024 Year League. Trunk or Treat has been awesome so far. We've been doing really good. We have about, I would say, 30 to 35 car booths that will be out there giving a whole bunch of trunks and treats. All the departments here with a company with the school district. It's been a phenomenal get together. Working together has been delightfully great. The Beyond the Bells program has done wonders with us. They definitely have been working head to head, providing kids anything we need. They've been more than helpful with. Trunk or Treat will take part this Tuesday, October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. on a 1300 block on Main Street. Food vendors will be from 6 to 9, accompanied by theater performances by the Promotoras and the Resource Center throughout that whole time. So there's going to be a lot going on all in one location. We will provide free Mylar bags while supplies last to all the children that come to our downtown area, right on the entrance of Main and Fresno Street. So we plan to have everybody enter the downtown area that way. I understand we'll have Gustine, Patterson, everybody's going to come, and hopefully we have a successful and great night. We also will have a live DJ out there during the duration of the time in our plaza area. So a lot to see, a lot to enjoy, lots of kids, and hopefully we can make this all a good evening for everybody. With that, I can answer any questions that y'all may have.
What's the age for the basketball league?
It's 7 through 14. So third graders, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Allie, if someone wanted to donate candy for the trunk or treat,
that's
where
right.
would they do that at?
You can turn in candy at the Recreation Center here at City Hall, between the hours of 8 and 5 here at City Hall. I know that sometimes people turn it into the police department. Any of our local areas, we're accepting any candy that you guys want to donate. Businesses, even at the school location at 1030 Merced Street, I think 1040, I'm sorry. 1040 Merced Street is their new building where we can also accept donations for our downtown event.
Any questions?
With that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Ally.
Thank you.
And on that, thank you to the school district and the volunteer fire department and everybody that's involved in putting this together, and your hard work on it too, Ally. Thank you. Lieutenant?
Mayor, council members, I have nothing to share on behalf of the police department tonight.
Lou?
Nothing of financial nature to report.
Catherine?
I'll take their time. Just kidding.
I assumed.
I just want to thank Michael for giving me this chance, and I appreciate having 6 years here already. These guys are driving me crazy, but, you know, I can put up with it.
Yeah, you've done great.
Thank you, Kathy.
I'm happy to be here. 6.
He didn't bring you a cake, did he?
No, he didn't bring me a cake. He owes me one.
November 1st.
Yeah.
And then technically made it yet.
Yeah. I'm going to make it. We're just trucking along with all these projects. They've opened up Highway 33 in Inyo. We're going through punch list items. Notice of completion will be coming to you. Probably not the November meeting. They haven't got everything done yet, but we'll close it out sometime in November, and then you'll see it in December to accept that project. Canal School in Inyo, that project's been paved, striping will commence next week. And so then that project will go through the final walk and punch list items, and then we'll be closing that one out. I don't know if they'll make it by the December meeting. Otherwise, it'll be January. We'll accept that project. News, they're still excavating everything out there, building those marshes and ponds. And that's going to be a project that takes us through next summer. So that I'll give you updates as we move forward. And the wetland project on the same site is kind of on hold so we can get news done because we're driving across that wetland project to get the dirt out of there and bring equipment and stuff in. So we don't want to build the wetland and then have to disturb it. We're in the design process of the nature park. We've had a kickoff meeting, and so now it's just the long process of design as we build that project to take to construction hopefully next year. We're also designing the Measure L project. We're designing the Stanislaus and last 2 blocks of Main Street project. Those are in design now. We're also working on several planning projects. There's surveys out there. We've got the urban forest management plan. That one we're talking about all the trees in the city and what we can do to take better care of them, what needs there are, what kind of trees to plant. So if you get a chance, check out a survey on that one. We're also doing the community connections, which was previously known as the T Street Corridor. We've added a couple other corridors to that Caltrans grant. And so we have an advisory group. I want to thank all the volunteers for all the advisory groups they sit on for me. And we're gathering information from the community. There'll be surveys available for that and workshops coming up. Those will happen probably in the spring. So watch out for those and participate if you can. And then plus the housing element. And so we're just trucking along. I can take any questions if you have any.
I noticed the clock's off again. Oh. No, just one of them. 1 out of 4 ain't bad.
Anything positive.
I'm gonna actually put it on my calendar so I can remind the guys to go check it like once a month or so. That way we stay on top of it.
I know.
Thank you for letting me know.
Now that the Inyo and 33 intersection's been redone and prepped. Any idea when Caltrans will get on it to potentially put a light there?
So basically, we've had a couple discussions about it as far as what it would take to put a light there, and which is warrants, which is traffic counts, and a lot of things go into that traffic study. And so I just had a talk with the engineers to pull that out, see when it was done last, see what they included, because during that last traffic study, they included some of the development they knew was coming. So it might already include some things that we know are happening now. So we just have to review the traffic study, do it again if they didn't include some of this stuff, and see if we can get the warrants up, and then try to find funding and then get the light installed. And so that is something that's on our radar that we'll be working on.
I just want to say that Michael, she works very hard for those 6 years. And one thing about it is that I'm just hoping that she doesn't tire out on us. And if any kind of way that they can get an assistant for you to make sure that those work, and that's a lot of work that you just named off, and all those things are coming right in line with each other.
Yep.
So
I have a lot of help. Terry, she's like, I couldn't even do my job without her. Perfecto, the wastewater guys, all the public works, and then even people that are sitting up here, Michael, everybody helps me so much. And so we're all a team. We all work together to get all this stuff done. I just kind of get to move the pieces around, and then plus all the consultants. And so I'd rather hire more public works employees than get another assistant for me. Right. They need more help out there. And so.
And the only reason why I say that is because we're growing.
I appreciate that.
We're really growing. I mean, we're still slow, slow growth, but I see the potential is here. Not only the potential, but we're growing on the pace that where there's lots of construction that's going to be taking place in the city of Newman. And so that we need those people out there to make sure that those projects are running correctly and that they're running on time. That's the key.
Yep.
And I just want to say thank you. You're
welcome.
For 6 years, and we stole you away from Gustine. You've done a wonderful job.
I do love it, and I love what I do, so it just makes it easy.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're welcome.
Chief Bowen, you got 30 seconds.
Oh, what else is new? That's how hard she works. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Just a few things I want to remind you since Halloween's coming. Remember Halloween safety. While you're out with the kids, try to stay on the sidewalks. Bring a flashlight if you can. Wear reflective or lighted shoes or something to keep everyone safe. And if you are driving or you have to travel, please reduce your speed in the residential areas. Also, we'll be out at the trunk or treat, so we look forward to seeing everybody out there. We finished up Fire Prevention Week at the beginning of the month, and we taught over 1,300 kids, I think it was. So, and we got a few more coming up this month. So it's a great opportunity to just see the students, and they seem to like us more than PD for some reason. I don't know. And then the last thing, don't forget the rival games this Friday. So we'll be out there too, helping out. I can answer any questions you guys might have.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Just like to say I have a great appreciation for the school district, professionally and personally. I really appreciate you being here tonight and your comments and questions. And Amber, our community member, thank you for being here tonight. And it's always great to have input. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
And I'll piggyback on that. My sister Rose, her sitting out there. And every time I would see her in a council meeting, it just brings delight to me. Thank you so much for your input too. And just saying that basically, when you reach the age of 75, you want to say something, and all of a sudden you just.
Happens to me now at 40.
Thank you so much. You all have a great evening.
I would like to say, give congrats to Newman Animal Shelter. They just got a no-kill award for 2022 last year. It was on Facebook. So and we don't kill our animals here. Thank you, Chief.
Outstanding.
I'm done with that.
Nothing.
Well, again, I'd like to piggyback on everybody else. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for making your comments here today. It was important, all of you guys. I hope everybody has a happy and safe Halloween and a happy Veterans Day. most importantly, thank you to all of our veterans out there. That's coming up real soon. So, with that, I'll ask for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
First, second?
Second.